President Trump has been very active on social media during this very intense period of making these decisions. As I mentioned, he's in the Situation Room as we speak. He called earlier for, quote, unconditional surrender on the part of Iran. The Ayatollah very isolated at this point in his situation. So Iran's mysterious Fordo nuclear site is a lot of the focus right now. It is close to 300 feet below ground and has been called the crux of this program, this nuclear weapons program, which has been damaged dramatically over recent days. But without eliminating Fordo, there would still be the capability to build a nuclear bomb. Now, one Middle East expert saying that if this conflict ends with Fordo still intact, it's not a strategic gain overall. This is the only bomb that is believed to be capable of penetrating and destroying Fordo. Only the United States has this munition. It is the massive ordnance penetrator bomb, also known as the bunker buster. It delivers a 30,000-pound payload. It can be carried by a B-2 stealth bomber. You can watch this animation. It would drop over the target. The bomb's first charge would detonate, then clearing the path for a second charge that would drop deeper into the hole. And that's when you get that bunker-busting penetrative ability in this massive U.S. military ordnance. With that, we bring in retired General David Petraeus. He commanded America's wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, former head of U.S. Central Command, and former CIA director. General, very good to have you with us today. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Martha.
So you've been in the Situation Room many times, have been in these moments of decision making. What would you be adding to the conversation? What would you want to be sure is on the table in this discussion right now?
Well, I think the military in particular, the Department of Defense, needs to lay out all the options, the possible risks in the event that one or the other is chosen, ensure that there's a very clear understanding of what can be done and what can't be done. And again, then what Iran might do in retaliation, noting that they seem to be coming up lower and lower, if you will, when it comes to the missile math. In other words, how many interceptors does Israel have with its David Sling, Arrow, and other programs? How about us with our THAAD program and the destroyers that we're positioning to help Israel out? They're losing launchers every single time they pull them out. They're probably about a half of them left, maybe a little bit more. I think this is a point where it's truly a pivotal moment, obviously, in this Situation Room, where the president, I think, has two big choices. One is to amplify the ultimatum he has already given of unconditional surrender and say, you need either you stop, you agree to give up all of your nuclear enterprise. There's going to be no negotiations about it whatsoever. And to allow the International Atomic Energy Agency to have complete inspection rights, or we're going to take out the Fordo reactor enrichment complex, which also has a lot of the highly enriched uranium, in other words, to 60%, which is just a turn of the enrichment process from weapons-grade uranium.
And at this point, you know, given the history of Iran, is that what you would recommend? Would you say, you know, Mr. President, it's time to use the weapon that we have and try to remove this threat at Fordo? Here's the president on his way back from Canada, asked a question about this bunker buster. Watch.
Is there any guarantee that if the U.S. did get involved militarily, that a U.S. bomb could destroy Iran's nuclear program and facilities?
Piece of everything or anything in life, you know that. Look at you, right? There's no guarantee.
No guarantees if you couldn't hear everything he said there. But would you advise at this point that we use that bunker buster bomb on Fordo?
First, let me just note that when I was the commander of U.S. Central Command, we developed the plan to destroy the Iran nuclear program. And it's publicly known that we actually rehearsed it one time when we thought we might be getting close to executing it. We actually set the theater, as it's called, in preparation for this. In the end, of course, Iran ultimately agreed to that nuclear agreement. And we were pretty confident. Again, there is no guarantee ever on anything. we were confident that we could execute that plan and that the capabilities you laid out, the massive ordnance penetrator, the MOP, and the B-2 required to carry it, only we have each of those, no other country does, that we could in fact accomplish the mission when it came to Fordo, and frankly the other sites as well. But there are always uncertainties, there are always unexpected developments. A plane could literally go down even just because of mechanical problems. There is still some small arms defense, even though the strategic ballistic missile and air defenses of Iran have been devastated at this point. So again, I think you lay out the options for the president. I think in this case, there might be some value in offering one last ultimatum, giving Iran a chance that if they agree to give up all of their nuclear enterprise and to allow the IAEA inspections, that might be worth exploring.
Okay. General Petraeus, always good to have you here, sir. Thank you very much. We'll see what the president decides.
Thanks, Martha.
He's in that process right now. There's a live shot look over Jerusalem as we look at the night sky in very tense areas at this hour.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.